Recorded.
So before we get to the sermon, I kind of feel compelled to do a little bit of clearing up in the world, because one of the stages that the wars are being waged on is propaganda. So the Gaza Humanitarian Fund that was established by the United States and Israel was done because the aid that was going into Gaza was being hijacked by Hamas for their fighters. And when some of the Gazan citizens went to get aid, they were shot. So America and Israel felt that the best way to get aid to the right people was to completely supervise it. That's one thing. Okay? The war in Iran, there's all sorts of stories going on about that, but if you watch the news, if you watch the videos, Israel is targeting military facilities. Yes, some Iranian civilians have become casualties. That's sad. But Iran just attacked a hospital. Fortunately, there were no casualties. Lots of wounded, but no casualties. So I just wanted to establish that, because I think there's going to start being this war of propaganda, as there has been. People who want to believe it are going to believe it. People who don't, I try to give the facts as best as I know. Okay, so 10th commandment is what? Do not covet your neighbors, your fellows, whatever. What does that mean? Now, we think about that and we say, I have to be happy with my lot. That's a very general term, and it's true, okay? Doesn't mean you can't want more and work for more. I submit to you that the purpose of life is growth. You start here. I mean, look at your physical body, right? You're born as a helpless baby. And, at maturity, you're pretty strong, you're pretty vital. And then, of course, you start getting weak again. And then, it's time to go to the world to come and whatever's after that. Okay. If you have a neighbor that's driving around in, I don't know, what's popular car? Is it a Hummer? I mean, I used to say Porsche. Whatever the big popular Maserati, whatever it is today, right? You can say, nothing wrong with saying, I would love to have that car. I'm going to work real hard, get raises, maybe work hard and make some extra money so I can buy myself that car because I want it. What you can't do is say, I want that car. I want the car that my neighbor has. I'm going to go take it. Right? That's coveting. That's what coveting is. Okay? It's great to admire people and what they have. It's quite another to want what they personally have. Okay. I submit to you that this works on an emotional level too. I have seen people get up on this beamer and do a fantastic job. Right? Looking at the Graveners, David, reading the Torah. We had one of our Sofars on site come in here, telling me that after his bar mitzvah, his father wanted him to be the Baal Kriya, which means that you're the one that reads the Torah. I mean, not just read it, but trump the cantillations, all that stuff. And it inspired me to do better, to study better. Okay? And we all have, similar stories. We all see people that do something or can do something, whatever it is, whether it's sports, whether it's intellect, okay, whether it's a leadership position, and you think, wow, I'm looking at that person, I admire that person, and I'm going to set a goal to get to where that person is. Years ago, when I was working in New York as an employment counselor, employment agent, this was interviewing this young lady as a candidate, and she said that the guy that she was interviewing with said, well, where do you want to be in 5 years? And she goes, that chair. Which could be taken a couple of different ways, but we all kind of knew how she was saying it. And that's great. It's another thing to resent a person that has capabilities or abilities that you don't have. That's not okay. And that's kind of, I think, what the 10th commandment is partly about. You can look up to somebody and kind of aspire to be what they are, or to aspire to have their goals and stuff. To resent them because they are better than you, and you're trying to knock them down because you need a level playing field. And instead of rising yourself up to their level, which you kind of know in the back of your mind you can't do, and we'll get to the word can't in a minute, and try to knock them down, that's not okay. That, think about it, is part of what the 10th commandment tells us not to do. Don't covet thy fellows, whatever. Don't covet their belongings. Don't covet their abilities. Now, you can turn this in, or you can look at this in a very spiritual way. God put us, each one of us, on this earth with our own unique path. We are born into a specific situation, and God wants to see how we do. We have trials and tribulations and challenges throughout our life. And God gives those to us for, and I'm going to give you my opinion, 2 reasons. Number 1, because wherever we came from, whatever you want to believe we were prior to being born into this life, we had some baggage. But I think the more reasonable, or more, let's say, realistic version might be that we have our own challenges to do because that's how we personally need to advance. Think of it in school. You throw 30 kids into a class, teacher gets up on the board, writes out some stuff, and hopefully some kids get an A, some kids get a B, some kids get a C. If you happen to be Thomas Dewey, who was a revolutionary educator, not the Dewey Decimal System, that was somebody else. But Thomas Dewey was an educator and felt that every single student should get an A. Why? Because each one of them starts at a certain level at the beginning of the school year, and they grow to a certain point at the end of the school year. Some people grow more, some people grow less, but they all grow, and if they grow, they get an A. If you have a super smart person that walks into a class and doesn't learn much because they're super smart at the end of the year, they're going to get a C, according to the system, because they didn't learn anything. They didn't do much. But somebody who is very, very behind, that basically can't add, and by the end of the year they're multiplying, hey, that's an A+. That was his thinking, and that's God's thinking, right? When you have challenges in your life, your job is to overcome them. No matter what those challenges are, you work real hard and you do what you can to do that. And if you think you have the short stick in life, you're wrong. We see people that are very, very successful. What was that series of movies with Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson with the werewolves and the, what was it? Twilight, thank you, Twilight. Okay. So before she sold her first book, I believe this is true, I believe it was her, she was living in a car with her 3 kids, homeless. You've heard the expression, pull yourself up by your bootstraps? People that work their way through college, work really hard, work a couple of jobs, burn the midnight oil, they get A's, they go to law school, medical school, whatever, and they've done really well. And people look at them and say, what kind of privilege did they come from, right? Because you don't want to believe that they were able to overcome the way you didn't. And what's the difference between somebody like, I don't know, Elon Musk, and somebody who's out there, digging ditches, okay? Maybe somebody had a little bit of an advantage, maybe somebody didn't. But what did they do with that position? Did they work hard, or did they just say, whatever? Because life is like a fire. That's what the challenges in life is. If you have a little fire, you can look at it and you can say, oh wow, a little fire, let me get a bucket of water and put it out. Some people don't do that. They go, oh my gosh, a fire. Is somebody going to put it out for me? What's going to happen? And the fire, what happens? It gets bigger. And it gets bigger. And then it gets even more bigger. Next thing you know, you got a full fire blaze. You got everybody has to come in and help it because you didn't put it out when you could have. Think of life that way. Think of your trials and your challenges in that way. Right? Now, what does this have to do with coveting? It has to do with pay attention to your own lot in life. Accept it, embrace it, look at it as a lump of clay and mold it the way you want to mold it. Don't worry about what the other person is doing or what they have or what you think they've done. You have no idea. You see a guy driving by in a Rolls Royce? Yeah, maybe they inherited the money. Maybe they didn't. You don't know. Maybe they worked real hard and did it themselves. And now they're enjoying the fruits of their labor. So let's remember that as we go through life. Let's not resent people for what you think they have or don't have, because you don't know what they went through to get it. You don't know if that successful person was handed stuff, and you can tell. You can tell by the way they act whether they think they're entitled or what, or whether that person worked really hard, has an understanding and appreciation of what they have. You don't know. That's why, and I'll leave you with this. There's this new expression going around, I think it's done, but, oh, I feel so blessed. I don't feel blessed. I feel rewarded because I worked my butt off. I'm blessed because I've worked and sacrificed and saved, like all of you. Right? That's what blessed means. When we ask God to sanctify us, we're asking God to acknowledge what we've done. And let's remember that.